Shalom, family. Shalom. I'm coming to y'all with very, very interesting information. I think everybody probably would be interested in this, and this is like real, real crazy. So, the picture that you're looking at, this is plasma. I believe that the plasma is intelligent, some form of being, and I've recently found out that it's actually an interdimensional being. So we're going to talk about plasma, dark matter, and interdimensional beings, guys. Yes, they exist. This is all true. These things stay around my house. Like when all of this stuff first started happening to me, I didn't know what was going on. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was scared at a point because I didn't know what it was. I'm like, it was demons. Everybody was, when I first started looking it up, all I kept hearing was people talking about, UFOs is fallen angels, demons, and all of this stuff. So I was scared, you know what I mean? And I started having sleep paralysis and all of this stuff. But then, I started receiving more and more downloads and everything. And I started realizing that whatever was around me wasn't trying to hurt me. I was felt like it was protecting me and also giving me information. I've said in many of my videos that the stars, I felt like the stars talk to me. They send me messages. And one star, I was calling it the morning star, rose in my window from September 23rd for about 2 months. It was in my window every morning for about 2 months. And I mean, it was so bright that you could even see it when the sun was rising. Like, I now recorded a lot of video footage of it on my camcorder. I'm going to find time to go get the cord and finally upload this footage if I can. That's on my camcorder, all of this stuff, because you can zoom in on the camcorder and really good footage that I can't pick up with my phone. So, yeah, I was saying that, and this was before I even I just knew it because it was like information was coming to me that I never knew before, and I was just like, it's these stars, man. These is not normal stars. These is angels. These is something. I just knew it was something. It was talking to me. One day I was sitting on the porch and I had got so scared because I was sitting on the porch, and like this was around the time that I believe we wasn't eating meat. So I think my vibration was real high, my frequency was real high, and I think that my system was being cleaned out so like they could come close to me. So one day I was sitting on the porch and it was like a star, like literally right at the top of like my neighbor's tree. And like I turned to the right. If for some reason I turned to the right, like something urged me to turn to the right, and I looked and it was like right there. I jumped because it scared me, and I was like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how it was. And I was like, that's when I really started knowing. I was like, these stars, they moving, they doing something. So we're gonna talk about the plasma stars, plasma, dark matter, and interdimensional beings. This is actually a picture that I had got from another guy. I actually had a picture like this okay, one day I woke up and I had this picture on my phone, and it was like this, but it was just one line, and the whole back of the picture was black, and it just had the one, plasma line being going across, but it was blue. It wasn't orange like this. It was blue. The plasma being was blue. And I was like, where did this picture come from? I never knew what it was and where it had came from. I had it saved in my phone for a real long time, and then I made a mistake and deleted it on accident, but I didn't delete these two. Like I deleted that one on accident, and that was the one that I really wanted to keep because that was actually my own experience. This one is not actually mine, but I had came across another guy on Facebook when I had posted the picture who started sending me pictures of, the ones that he had. And this is actually the one that he had. And also this one. He also had sent me a picture of his wife, and it was like these glowing wings on her back. It was crazy. I can't even remember his name or nothing on Facebook, so I kind of lost contact with him or whatever. But yeah, he had sent me these pictures, and I was like, because I didn't know what was going on at first, and he was trying to explain it to me a little bit, but I was still in my unbelieving state. Like, what the heck? This is not, real. This is not happening. But it is. So I woke up and I had that picture on my phone. I was like, man, what is this? I just never knew what it was until, he tried to tell me a little bit about it, and I still didn't fully comprehend. So recently I've been watching videos on Ashira's channel, and she been talking about plasma and dark matter. And I was actually watching this show on YouTube. I mean, not YouTube, Netflix, that's called Dark Matter. And it's about, them being out in space and everything. So today it just hit me. It just dawned on me. Like, I just put all the pieces together. The orbs, these things, they're all plasma. They're like some intelligent plasma. And when it hit me that it was that these was the plasma, because she been talking about plasma and dark matter, but she haven't showed pictures of the plasma and dark matter. But today it just hit me that this is the plasma, the orbs, the light orbs, and I've recorded videos of that on my YouTube. So this is like blowing me away. So I want to talk to y'all about this, and I'm sorry if I'm kind of like stumbling over my words. You know how something be so exciting and just so unbelievable, you can't get it out right. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't get the words out. So that's how this is. So this say solar ancestor, and it say intelligent plasma. So it say elsewhere on these pages, I have described the sun as a giant ball of plasma. On a recent new edition of Ancient Aliens and a discussion about crop circles. And like last year, y'all, now I put up a video earlier this year where I think I got some crop circles, but last year, like they were all through my backyard, these crop circles. And like I literally thought a UFO was like landing in my backyard. That's how, because I'm like, I don't know what is causing this, but I know I have been seeing UFOs and stuff around my house, and the light orbs. And I had called my uncle who live in Arizona, because the same thing has started happening to him. And everybody was saying he was crazy and all of this, and this was years ago, right? This was years ago. And I had talked to him because he lived in Arizona, and everybody was saying he was crazy. I didn't believe in this stuff. I never thought nothing of it until it started happening to me. My uncle had actually went to jail for a while, and right around the time that this started happening to me, he had just got out of jail. So like, cause he had went, like they said, he went crazy and did some sort of, I don't even want to get all into it, but he had just got out of jail. And um I had called him, like, I think it's UFOs outside of my house. And he thought that I was like just joking, like trying to be sarcastic, like trying to mess with him. And he like, why you say that? And I'm like, because it's these light orbs out here. And he like, oh yeah. Like he was like, yeah, like, oh yeah, that's what it is, UFOs and stuff. So I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Oh yeah. Like, what, I'm wanting you to tell me, oh, that's not what it is. You know what I'm saying? He like, oh yeah, that's what it is. So, we get to talking. He telling me everything that he know, and etc. and everything about it. He actually just sent me a picture of what he called as a UFO. And he actually had footage of a UFO. He got it on his YouTube. I think his YouTube channel is called The Last Mohican. He live in Arizona, and he got this UFO recorder on his channel where they had, him and a few of my other family members had recorded and seen it. And it's like you clear, like you can see it real good. So, so I'm like, I'm real scared by this time because I'm like, what do they want? What do they want? You know what I'm saying? And all these crop circles in my backyard and whatnot. Then my son had one time real early in the morning, he said he had came downstairs and seen two glowing lights in my house, one blue and one red, or like a red orange color. And these is the colors of the glowing orbs that I see outside, blue and red. So at this point, I'm like, okay, oh, I'm real scared. And, I told y'all I found the picture on my phone of the blue, like, plasma line thing. So, I'm like, at this point, I'm tripping. The stars is like talking to me, sending me downloads, and, you know, like so close to my house, and it was like they was like coming down. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you. And I really think that that's what what's his name song? I forget his name. I got a mind block right now. But y'all know the song, All the Stars Are Closer. All the stars are close. I think that's what he was talking about when he made that song. You got to really listen to it. All the stars are closer. And that's why I had liked the song when I heard it, because I automatically knew what he was talking about, even though I didn't know what was really all the way happening. So, long story short, this stuff was tripping me out, and I was scared because, like I said, people are afraid of things they don't understand. So I didn't understand what was happening, so I was scared. Okay, I was scared the crap out of me. So it say, so the crop, yeah, whole point is the crop circles being in my backyard and everything. Like, it was tripping me out. Like, the grass was really being twisted up, like, and it was in circles and stuff, and flat down, like something had landed on it. I went outside one day and I was like, what in the world? What is this? And then, I made that video recently, I think earlier this year, when I had went out there and seen them again. I made the video and I said, I think the light orbs is doing the crop circles, because I had found the video on YouTube where they had showed the orbs doing the crop circles. And I know the orbs is outside of my house. So, I put two and two together. Okay, the orbs is doing the crop circles. Fast forward to now. Now we here. Okay. I know that's a lot for y'all to digest, but bear with me. So I say, it was suggested that they might be formed by intelligent plasma balls. Some believe that UFOs are sometimes really crafts made of plasmas, while others suggest that light orbs are intelligent beings whose form is composed of plasma. Since plasma is considered the fourth state of matter beyond solid liquid gas, and that's the fourth state of matter. So, we talked about, you want to be at the fourth dimension and higher. When we leave this third state of matter, this is what I think we're going to be. It's plasma. Okay, so since plasma is considered the fourth state of matter, any intelligent consciousness that use plasma as its body will be considered to be interdimensional. So these is interdimensional beings. Okay, y'all, blowing me away right now. I can't believe all this. I knew all this stuff. Like, my family, I used to be a dancer, making a lot of money, living my life. Okay, until all this stuff started happening to me, I just stopped dancing. I said, I'm not dancing no more. I had just stopped eating meat for months. Like, it was just, I had just stopped eating meat for months. It was just like all of this stuff just started happening. I started having like a change in consciousness. It was just like quick. Okay, do y'all understand what I'm saying? It was just like quick. So my family, they was worried about me. Like, and I was reading the Bible a lot too. Like, really reading it. I'm talking about studying every day, looking up words, and it was all I was doing. Like, all I was doing was researching and finding stuff and this and that and being led. It was like the downloads was just pouring in, leading me to information on top of information on top of information. And I was like, I had totally wasn't thinking about nothing else. Okay. And this is what the scriptures say. It say about the chosen. Say they seen that they have died to the world. Like I was like dead to the world. I wasn't. All I was worried about was that. And like my family, they was worried about me. They thought I was going crazy for a few months. Okay, understand me, y'all. This is why I say you can't be so far into the spiritual that you forget about the physical. This when people start calling you crazy and everything else because you're not balanced. Okay, they're gonna start calling you crazy. So I had to bring it back down to earth, but I had to learn that. I had to go through that experience to understand that I still am in the physical right now. So I have to bring the two together and be able to balance it out. Which I'm a Pisces, and that's all about the two fishes balancing out. Okay, so my family thought I was going crazy. My mom started saying, "You going to end up like, her, my little brother's father, his sister actually just recently passed away. But before then, she went crazy. She was in a mental home because she was hearing voices in the water. I really think she had took some bad drugs or something, but they said that she was reading the Bible a lot before it had happened to her. So, I was reading the Bible a lot and everything. And my mom was like, she kept saying, "You need to stop reading that Bible. You going to end up like Shalonda. You going to be crazy. They going to put you in a crazy home." And, she was scared for me. All of the stuff, she didn't know what was happening. Because, it was like a 360 change. Okay, y'all don't understand what I'm saying. And she's like, "You need to stop reading that Bible. You know what happened to Shalonda and this, that, and the third." And she just actually recently passed away. God, rest her soul. But yeah, so this is, how my family was reacting. And I'm telling them, like, it's UFOs outside. The stars is talking to me. Stuff is happening. Y'all don't see it. And they like, "Girl, you crazy. What in the world? You losing your mind?" I'm like, "I'm not losing my mind. I'm finding it." So, it was like that. It was like so deep. So for me to be able to really know what this is and what I'm dealing with now, it's like blowing me away, and I'm happy. So it's see, I'm talking to y'all so much. I didn't talk for 17 minutes. Ain't even got to the teaching. Shame. Sorry, y'all. So it's a intelligent consciousness that use plasma as its body will be considered to be interdimensional. Andrew Collins, in his book Light Quest, has proposed that natural plasma emission play host to or are the vehicle of intelligent life forms. And we talked about this about the Merkaba. And see, I was like, I knew it. And I've actually had a visual of these things, but I never knew that the two were the same. Okay, I was like, I was kind of putting it together, but it was like I didn't have that concrete proof to say, okay, this is it. You know what I mean? This is it. But now I do. Now I have that concrete proof to say, this is it. I have all those puzzle pieces to say, this is the whole thing. Let's say, light beings or electrical beings who use plasma for temporarily manifesting into our dimension. Something was in my room. That that blue plasma thing, it was a being, was something. It then took a picture of its own self. It probably affected my phone, and my phone took a picture, or probably because it's electrical, and we're going to talk about that, probably took a picture of itself somehow, messing with the electric. Because plasma is what, and we're going to talk about that too, our plasma TVs, your plasma big screen, and your plasma phone, and your plasma this is what's in it. Okay, they study this. It's artificial plasma, though. It's not real plasma, it's artificial, but this is what it's modeled after. See, they not telling us everything. They ain't telling us everything, y'all. So it's for temporarily manifesting into our dimension for short periods of time. The question he is unable to answer is whether they are native to the planet Earth or from an adjacent brain, multiverse. My own understanding is that many, although not all, hail from our sun, and they do indeed dwell on an interdimensional plane. Diane Testman on the website has said, remembering Science 101, lightning, electricity, light travels across the sky and down to the earth on plasma pathways or corridors. Here's another example of light electricity traveling on plasma. The Army has a shiny new laser plasma lightning cannon. It shoots lightning bolts down plasma channels created by laser beams to disable electronics and blow up targets too. It is a laser plasma lightning cannon. This, let me take some breaths, y'all, because I'm talking so much. I done ran out of breath. Let me sit down and really talk to y'all, because it's going to sound all type of choppy if I don't. Okay. Because I got anxiety, and like when, like, it's like my anxiety act up when it's like the spirit wants you to say something. It's like anxiety, okay? It's like, do it now, okay? I think I've told y'all that in my other videos. So I say, travels across the sky and down Earth on plasma pathways or corridors. Here's another example of light electricity traveling on plasma. The Army has a shiny new laser plasma lightning cannon. It shoots lightning bolts down plasma channels created by laser beams to disable electronics and blow up targets too. It is a laser plasma lightning cannon. This is indeed the grandfather of Star Trek's phaser. It is reasonable to assume that the light beings travel along plasma corridors. Diane adds, Project Condign was the name given to the top secret UFO study undertaken by the British government Defense Intelligence Staff between 1997 and 2000. The report concludes that the UFO phenomenon is caused by highly charged atmospheric plasma. There were named unidentified aerial phenomena, like the aurora borealis per se, I guess. Keep this information in mind if you are exploring phenomena such as UFOs, crop circles, and ghosts. This is so deep, y'all. Let's get this. Let's get this together. Let's keep it going. So it say, after many years of being involved in ufology, I have concluded that some UFOs are intricately connected to plasma. And I've talked about, we're going to talk about it. Let me just go ahead and let me stop jumping back and forth. I would like to share my thoughts on this possibility. In doing so, I keep in mind that although we usually look for life forms similar to ours, corporeal life have formed an Earth-like environment where life really seems to dwell in our consciousness, and also, no doubt, in consciousness throughout the universe. Our consciousness exists in our minds, and according to modern science, our minds run on electrical circuitry. Does life itself dwell in this electric energy rather than in the corporeal form? And many sightings of UFOs has a plasma-like appearance. For example, this description was given by a witness recently. We ain't gonna do all that. Many times UFOs defy gravity, making right turns or small circles at tremendous speeds. Science as we know it concludes that occupants inside, they would die from the forces involved. This is one argument by skeptics against the reality of UFOs. Are UFO plasma formations? However, what if the UFOs are composed of plasma? The assumption is then that, of course, there are no life forms in plasma. So UFOs are obviously just weird plasma phenomena devoid of life. Even the infamous swipe gas had a plasma concept behind it. That plasma can have no intelligence is a conscience of, that plasma can have no intelligence is the conclusion of science as we know it. However, we still have much to learn scientifically, and we are wise to keep in mind that advanced science as witnessed by less advanced beings seems to be impossible, even though we do witness it as it unfolds. The trouble with stating that plasma is just plasma is that UFOs display intelligent behavior. Even if it seems a bit like alien behavior to us, we can quite make sense of why UFOs act as they do. But their intelligence, or that of their occupants, has been proven over and over again. With thanks to Mark Haley, for this UAP section. In fact, Project Condign was the name given to the top secret UFO study undertaken by the British government defense between 1997 and 2000. The report looked into all reported sightings of UFOs over the previous 3 decades between 1967 and 1997. There were 100 to 750 credible incidences a year in British airspace alone. The project came to the remarkable conclusion that the phenomenon was indisputably real, but that they weren't dealing with physical craft. Instead, the report included that the UFO phenomenon is caused by highly charged atmospheric plasmas. These were named unidentified aerial phenomena. So it's a oh, I lost where I was at, y'all. Okay, in a high energy state, the UAPs are visible to the naked eye, but in a lower energy state, they may only be visible in the infrared spectrum or on radar. So, I've been telling y'all about, you know, raising your frequency, your energy. The UAPs generally have a magnetic field about 5,000 times weaker than Earth's, but the UAP's field is pulsed and rotating, which seems to provide them with their source of propulsion. The UAPs were also capable of flying information and quite frequently formed complex geometric arrangements of 3 to 5 balls that gave a very good appropriation of the underside shape of a classical UFO. These balls were able to move synchronously and were observed to be able to join and then part again. When flying information, light in between the balls of plasma often appears to be blocked, giving the appearance of a solid craft. The power of these UAPs is so great that close proximity to their plasma fields can seriously harm a vehicle or person. The Project Condign report notes that scientists and their former Soviet Union have taken a particular interest in the UFO UAP phenomena and are pursuing related techniques for military purposes. Several Russian and Chinese aircraft have been destroyed chasing UFOs. Parts of the Condign report are still classified and have not been published. These include the relationships between the UAP and solar sunspot cycles, various drawings, and photographs. However, the report does include the admission that the significance of ley lines in Earth energy grids were investigated as a part of the report study. The effect of proximity to these UAP plasmoids can be wide-ranging in the people who encounter them. 75% of the people feel odd or dizzy or reporting tingling sensations. I'm telling y'all, my nose and my forehead always tingling. And not always, like, I can't stand down. If I go down and like stand up too fast, like, I get so dizzy, like I'll almost be about to faint. Like I have to it's like my eyes go black and everything. Like I gotta just stand there for a while. Sometimes I'll be feeling like I'm about to fall. So that's crazy that it said that 65% saw vivid images and or they experienced pleasant vibrations. Only 40% said they experienced fear or terror. The Condign report also notes that there are significant neurological effects on humans who encounter the UAPs. Contact with the UAPs created serious perceptual and temporal distortions. The Condign's report conclusion after 3 years of gathering and processing data is that there is no evidence that UAPs represent any hostile intent, and that further investigation should be made into the applicability of various characteristics of plasma and novel military evidence applications. I think they want to try to make it like they messing us up, but really I think they raising our frequency. And I said that one time. I said I feel like they are raising my vibration or something somehow. And it's like my body is, getting used to it, so I feel different or something. But it's a extensive research on these plasmoids has been carried out by the Russian Academy of Science and a department headed by the VG Azahaza. They concluded that these phenomena are highly mobile, high-energy plasma vortexes, which they call UFOs. Their studies show that these plasma UFOs exhibited by the following behaviors: gradual growth, splitting into two or more separate parts, dissolution to invisibility, um, disparate bright lights merging into larger formations, often reported as a small craft joining the mothership, and the forming of a row of portholes. Disappearance accompanied by a smell, rotation, nonlinear motion, weak thermal radiation, translucence, halos, blackness, beam light emission. The beam light emission are explained by the Russian scientists as a discharge or leakage path that allow the plasma to flow off and to change direction seemingly at will. Is there intelligent life within plasma formations? Change direction seemingly at will. So let's ask the question: might UFOs beings actually be a form of life within plasma, or just simply a plasma form of life? If they are a plasma form of life, we tend to assume they are primitive life, like an amphibia or perhaps a jellyfish. But I think they're conscious, and I think that they're just like we read, just a vehicle, like the Merkaba. That's what it's telling us. It's just a vehicle that consciousness uses. So when we die, our consciousness does not die. It takes another form. Our soul, it takes another form, and the form is this plasma. Okay, and this is why the scriptures say, in the spirit. When they talk about the will, if it's talking about this, Ezekiel's will, saying the spirit was in the will, and wherever the spirit went, the will went. But I still am not sure if that's talking about UFOs, even though a lot of people say that. I still just haven't really went into depth with those scriptures, and I think I'm going to do that. So let's say, of course, there have been many jellyfish and manta ray UFO sightings throughout the years, which seem to be natural animals of some sort swimming in the sky. Often these critters have plasma-like electric colors. Are they plasmoids? Are we wrong, or just assume these critters are all of low intelligence? They are probably an ancient form of life, manifesting and demanifesting in the sky since the Earth first had an atmosphere. They have had time to evolve high intelligence, more time than any other life form we can think of. Also keep in mind that the sky critters are not specifically manta rays or other ocean life which they resemble, any more than humans are specifically the gorillas whom we resemble. Of course, humans underestimate the intelligence of other living creatures in general, but that is another subject. Or are these life forms traveling on plasma corridors? A variant: what if a UFO are plasma vehicles, plasmoid ships of electric life forms, or possibly life forms composed of light itself? Do these life forms travel on plasma pathways? Remembering Science 101, which we already read and talked about that. Okay, let me see. And look, you see they got a picture of the laser lightning, and it looked just similar to the plasma things that I showed y'all, them plasma lines. So I say plasma, from the ancient Greek meaning moldable substance, is one of the four fundamental states of matter and was first described by chemist Irving Langmuir in the 1920s. Plasma can be artificially generated by heating or subjecting a neutral gas to a strong electromagnetic field, to the point of an ionized gaseous substance becomes increasingly electrically conductive, and long-range electromagnetic fields dominate the behavior of the matter. And we talked about the ley lines video about how UFOs and these light orbs, they use the ley lines to travel. So say plasma and iodine gases have properties and display behaviors unlike those of other states, and the transitions between them is mostly a matter of nomenclature. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. And subject to interpretation based on the surrounding environment, temperature, and density. Partially ionized or fully ionized forms of plasma may be produced. Neon signs and lightning are examples of partially ionized plasma. The Earth's ionosphere is a plasma, and the magnetic sphere contains plasma in the Earth's surrounding space environment. The interior of the sun is an example of fully ionized plasma, along with the solar corona and stars. So when it said and stars, I'm like, okay, so I'm not tripping when I'm talking about these stars. They was coming down talking to me. Okay, now that's the best way I could say it. I know that sounds unbelievable, but when I tell y'all, when I looked to the right that day, I was sitting on the porch and it was a star right there. It scared me. I couldn't believe it. I was like, that's how I was. I jumped like, what in the heck? And I was like, and you know what? I even talked to her. I said, you scared me. You know what I'm saying? It was like it was just looking at me, like just looking at me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is so crazy. So let's say positive charges and ions are achieved by stripping away electrons orbiting the atomic nuclei, where the total number of electrons removed is related to either increasing temperature or the local density of other ionized matter. This also can be accompanied by the dissociation of molecular bonds. Though this process is distinctly different, is a distinctly different from chemical process of an ion interactions in liquids or behavior of shared ions and metals. The response of plasma to electromagnetic fields is used in many minor technological devices such as plasma television or plasma etching. Plasma may be the most abundant form of ordinary matter in the universe. And this is what blew me when it said that it's the most abundant form of ordinary matter in the universe. Although the hypothesis is currently tentative based on the existence and unknown properties of dark matter, plasma is mostly associated with stars, extending to the rarefied intercluster medium and possibly into the intergalactic regions. The word plasma comes from the ancient Greek, meaning moldable substance or jelly, and describes the behavior of the ionized atom nuclei and electrons within the surrounding region of the plasma. Very simply, each of these nuclei are suspended in a movable sea of electrons. And what did the scripture say? He divided the waters above from the waters below, the sea, the waters. Plasma was first identified in a Crookes tube and so described by Sir William Crookes in 1879. He called it radiant matter. The nature of this cathode ray matter was subsequently identified by the British physicist Sir J.J. Thomson in 1897. The term plasma was coined by Irving Langmuir in 1928. Louis Tonks and Harold Malt Smith, both of whom worked with Irving Langmuir in the 1920s, recall that Langmuir first used the word plasma in an analogy with blood. Malt Smith recalls in particular that the transport of electrons for thermogenic filaments reminded Langmuir of the way blood plasmas carry red and white corpuscles and germs. But you know what? What's interesting about that is the scriptures say what? The life is in the blood, the consciousness, the genetic memory. Remember, we did the video a while ago on the genetic memory and how how we know our past lives, etc. And what is the past life and all of that. If you haven't watched that video for my new subscribers, I suggest you go back and watch that. It's very interesting. It's called The Life is in the Blood. So I'll say Langmuir described the plasma he observed as follows: except near the electrodes where there are sheaths containing very few electrons, the ionized gas contains iodine, and the blood is pumped from the heart, and we know the heart is the seat of the soul and the true place of consciousness. A lot of people think it's the mind, which the mind is part of the consciousness, but the heart has the last decision. This is why the heart is weighed in the balance. We talked about that. Except near the electrodes where there are sheaths containing very few electrons, the iodine gas contains ions and electrons in about equal numbers so that the resultant space charge is very small. We shall use the name plasma to describe this region containing balanced charges of ions and electrons. Plasma is a state of matter in which an ionized gaseous substance becomes highly electrically conductive to the point that long-range electric and magnetic fields dominate the behavior of matter. The plasma state can be contrasted with other states, solid, liquid, and gas. Plasma is an electrically neutral medium. Look, a medium. When they use these words, understand that they ain't using them for no reason. A medium of unbound positive and negative particles. The overall charge of a plasma is roughly zero. Although these particles are zero, the overall charge of a plasma is roughly zero. And that got me thinking to how people start talking about singularity and the 0 point. That's another video though. All these particles are unbound. They are not free in the sense of not experiencing forces. Moving charged particles generate an electric current within a magnetic field. Any movement of a charged plasma particle affects and is affected by the fields created by other charges. In turn, this governs collective behavior with many degrees of variation. Three factors define a plasma: the plasma approximation. The plasma approximation implies when the plasma parameter, representing the number of charge carriers within a sphere called the debye sphere, whose radius is the debye screening length surrounding a given charged particle, is sufficiently high as to shield the electrostatic influence of the particular outside of the sphere. And something else that's been going on in my house is a lot of shocking. And I think somebody had maybe mentioned that on one of Shira's videos, and I was like, yeah, it's been a lot of shocking going on in my house too. Like when we touch each other or touch something, it's just be shocking. So bulk interactions. The debye screening length defined above is short compared to the physical size of the plasma. The criterion means that interactions in the bulk of the plasma are more important than those at its edges, where boundary effects may take place. When this criterion is satisfied, the plasma is quasi-neutral. Plasma frequency. The electron plasma frequency is large compared to the electron neutral collision frequency. When this condition is valid, electrostatic interactions dominate over the processes of ordinary gas kinetics. Plasma temperature is commonly measured in kelvins and electron volts and is informally a measure of the thermokinetic energy per particle. High temperatures are usually needed to sustain ionization, which is the defining feature of a plasma. The degree of plasma ionization is determined by the electron temperature relative to the ionization energy in a relationship called the Saha equation. At low temperatures, ions and electrons tend to recombine into bound states, atoms, and the plasma will eventually become a gas. In most cases, the electrons are close enough to thermal equilibrium that their temperature is relatively well defined, even when there is a significant deviation from a Maxwellian energy distribution function. For example, due to the UV radiation, energetic particles or strong electric fields. So back up for a minute, because it's saying at low temperatures, ions and electrons tend to recombine into bound states. Bound states, atoms. Our body. At low temperatures, we are at low temperatures, ions and electrons tend to recombine into bound states, atoms. God made man and woman in his image, and he called them Adam. So it's saying, because of the large differences in mass, the electrons come to thermodynamic equilibrium amongst themselves much faster than they come into equilibrium with the ions or natural atoms. For this reason, the ion temperature may be very different from usually lower than the electron temperature. This is especially common in weakly ionized technological plasmas, where the ions are often near the ambient temperature. For plasma to exist, how long is we? Probably an hour. For plasma to exist, ionization is necessary. The term plasma density by itself usually refers to the electron density. That is the number of free electrons per unit volume. The degree of ionization of plasma is the pro- proportion of atoms that have lost or gained electrons and is controlled by the electron and ion temperatures and electron ion versus electron neutral collision frequencies. This is a lot, y'all. I don't know if I'm going to read all this. We already almost at an hour. So since plasmas are very good electrical conductors, electrical potentials play an important role. The average potential in the space between charged particles, independent of how it can be measured, is called the plasma potential or space potential. If an electrode is inserted into a plasma, its potential will generally lie considerably below the plasma potential due to what it is termed a Debye sheet. The good electrical conductivity of a plasma makes their electrical fields very small. This results in the important concept of quasi-neutrality, which says the density of negative charges is approximately equal to the density of positive charges over large volumes of plasma. But on the scale of the Debye length, there can be charge imbalance. In the special case that double layers are formed, the charge separation can extend some tens of Debye lengths. So, this is just a lot of science right here. Plasma with a magnetic field strong enough to influence the motion of the charged particles is said to be magnetized. And I was going to do a video on how I feel like how gravity work. I want to say it right now, but what gravity really is. But I'm going to save that for another video because I think that's going to be very interesting. And maybe y'all can, from what I just said, maybe y'all can kind of understand where I'm going to go with that video and the direction that I'm going to take. The conductivity of plasma may be treated as infinite. And I think this is maybe how, back in the day they had electricity and stuff because they was using plasma. See how it light up? Look, 144, y'all, 1144, 144. So yeah, Tesla coils. So in order to, do we got to heat up to go back to plasma? So yeah, this deep, y'all. So this, and like I gotta agree with the plasma is intelligent, okay? It's just, I believe that it's just the body. Okay, it's just the body. The scriptures tell us got a physical body and a spiritual body, celestial bodies, etc. And I believe that they just bodies carrying consciousness. We don't know if the consciousness has another form outside of that light body. However, we need to know that it is some conscious beings here on the planet with us, interdimensional beings. If you want to call them angels, UFOs, angels, aliens, interdimensional, etc. It's all the same thing to me. Like, it's all the same thing to me. I'm trying to tell you. So yeah, but this just blew me away. It just all came to me. This is the light orbs and these plasma lines and stuff. These things is the manifestation of some being or consciousness trying to come through. Okay, and this stuff can be caught because somehow it got caught on my phone. And I don't know if it took affected the phone and make it take a picture, or it did that on its own, or maybe I was asleep and did rolled over on my phone and it took a picture, and when it did it, the thing just so happened to be in my room. But yeah, this is deep. So this is what's happening to me, y'all. Yeah, this is what's happening to me, and it's finally all come together. Um, Now I don't know what the bottom line, the ending of all this will be, and that's really what I'm, leaning towards. What is the meaning, the be all, the be all of all of this? What is the conclusion? What does this all mean for us? And everything. What does this mean? So I hope y'all had a good, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. I want to say all praise to the Father, to the Holy Spirit, to the Christ consciousness, and shalom, family, till we meet again.